Right. So PARIVISION just won Blast. That's a bit unexpected for the unadvised. We kind of talked a little bit about this last week, but they did trio Falcons in the finals. They did drop Spirit. They did drop FURIA. And I was just looking at the rankings, and this time last year, exactly to the day, they were 190th according to AGL TV. So,
That's absurd.
I mean, 1 year, $3 million later, and you are fifth in the world, sixth in the world. I don't remember.
VRS rankings had them fourth, I believe.
Yeah. So, like, what the fuck happened? Okay, so the first big tournament of the year just happened. As we just said, PARIVISION got the trophy. That was a bit of a unexpected blessing, I would say, because it's quite fun and, in my opinion, quite good that we have like another team actually winning tournaments. And now, in just a few days, actually the day after tomorrow, as of recording of this episode, IEM Krakow starts. So, guys, like quick rundown. What the fuck happened in Blast Mounty?
That is a great question, and I think that kind of sums it up. Let's move on now. I don't really know. Like, I could kind of foresee PARIVISION beating Spirit. Like, it was kind of a perfect storm. Like, they got that sort of motivation. Spirit have just made a couple of changes, and they're not the most structured anyway. I think I wrote in the article on ready.gg that this seemed like the most likely of the lower seeds to get into the semi-finals because they play a relatively structured style. They're not as like, I'm going to use the word perverted as Virtus Pro were, but they're very structured still. And Spirit are very loose, and they've just changed IGL. Like, it was just a perfect storm where like they can actually just control the chaos. They just ignored donk and won the game elsewhere. And once they got to the final with Falcons having a stand-in, you kind of fancied them as well. It's just that bit in the middle where they 2-0'd FURIA that makes no sense whatsoever. It's just a ridiculous result.
Yeah,
I think for my money, there was just so many asterisks next to all the big teams, right? Like, you think about Spirit, they've just made two big moves. One of them is their IGL, so a completely new system in place. Like, they're going to be approaching the game in a very trial and error fashion for now. And then you look at Falcons, they had a stand-in, you know, they managed to get pretty far, but the stand-in wasn't that impressive, at least to my eye test. And yeah, as you mentioned, FURIA, like, that's a legit upset. I think PARIVISION should be especially proud of that one. Yeah, if I'm Jame and Co, that's the one I'm celebrating, really.
Yeah, that was my read as well. I mean, they'll celebrate the Spirit one because of, you know, it's
because of the revenge, of course.
Yeah, of course.
A win is a win. A win is always a win.
And like you say, like, oh, the big teams change. PARIVISION made a pretty big change themselves. I know you told me earlier, like, everyone calls him zweih. I'm convinced it's zweih because it's short, isn't it short for Zweihander, like two-hander? Tangent. Like, I know he slots basically into AW's roles perfectly. But he's still a new player. He's still got to learn the system. He's still got to learn how Jame calls. He's still got to learn all these things. And, like, they also made a change. So, like, I know what you mean, and that there is asterisks on some of these big teams, especially Falcons. But, like, you know, PARIVISION made a change as well. So
at least PARIVISION's was an upgrade, though, right? It's a strict upgrade as well.
It's just a straight up. Like, it's
as
straight upgrade as you can get.
I told you guys last week, like, this was the biggest winner of Roster Mania, and it clearly shows. Like, you can't deny what we're seeing right now. Like, you guys are correct. I think that Falcons did not play to their fullest, of course, because they're playing with a standing. But at the same time, like, in my opinion, you can't really ask too much of this 18-year-old kid that just got put into, like, the eye of the storm and go play. And, like, instead of kyousuke, who is arguably one of the, like, rising stars of today's like moment.
kyousuke is incredible. There's a reason, like, NiKo takes a backseat on this team normally. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, but he looked like he was being a bit more like his old self with Nucleons here. NiKo, he was a bit more back in some of his old roles. I think once kyousuke is back, we won't see this NiKo again.
Yeah, I think CT position-wise, we'll get into it later properly, but CT position-wise, mostly the same. But T side, you could really see the difference. Like, NiKo was clearly just throwing away the script and back to NiKo go kill, you know? The strat that survived a decade now.
But it does always get him second.
Does always get him second.
Yes, but he also did get the MVP. Do you guys think that was like... I want to say deserved. That's not the word I want to, but
so I've always had an issue with the term MVP. It's very American, but like most, just call him like player of the tournament, because most valuable player is like really vague wording. But even with that wording, there's no way NiKo was the most valuable player in a tournament that PARIVISION won. If an underdog wins it, there's no way the most valuable player can be on one of the best 4 teams if they didn't win against PARIVISION. Like that's insane. Like you can make an argument for like 4 different PARIVISION players. It was probably Nota, to be honest. But like you could argue that Jame is the most valuable because without Jame this team does not function. But that's just a quirk of the wording. The best player in the tournament might have been NiKo. But it also might have been Nota. And the most valuable wasn't NiKo.
Something that I do want to touch on with you guys is, do you guys think that Jame is still one of the most intelligent IGLs to ever play the game? Because watching the games, I was like, well, in Brazil, I don't know if you guys know this, but Jame is pretty like, loved in Brazil. Yeah,
I saw they built a statue to him apparently.
Yeah. So like in Brazil, like the casters in Brazil always like go above and beyond to say how good Jame actually is. And like there was that I think it was that 1v2 clutch in Overpass, if I'm not mistaken, that Jame just like waits for the defuse and kills both of them and wins the round. Yeah. And it's just like, how good is Jame actually nowadays? You could think if Jame, like, okay, this team actually won a S-tier tournament and that's cool, but I don't know if that's like something that will keep happening. Maybe it will, but I precisely this is what I want to know your opinion on.
I'll let you go first, Sam, because
sure. Yeah, I'll start. I'll get the boring bits out of the way. I think Jame is a very impressive IGL. I think in the long run, he'll probably go down as at least a top 10 IGL of all time, in my humble opinion.
Yeah.
I also think we shouldn't take this tournament as evidence that he's suddenly better than maybe players like Carrigan, Glade. Like, he's not in that conversation yet. He's still got a lot of work to do to get anywhere near there. And also, this tournament is a really strong start. I need to see a bit more from him again. And I need to see it at some slightly bigger tournaments than just this. Like, this was a fantastic run from PARIVISION, and what they've achieved is great. But at the same time, every single team, as we mentioned, had an asterisk, and they're all looking towards the real tournament, which is Krakow coming up. And every single team at this tournament, if they had to pick which one to do well in, they would pick Krakow, right? They're not prepping that hard for this one. They're using it as like a practice run. So this was kind of like a perfect storm for Jame, right? There was like a perfect opportunity, a great opening. He took it, he ran with it. He's smart enough to do that. I need to see him do it at one of the real ones.
But I would also say that Jame has never had the level of team that Carrigan, Glaive, Fallen have had. Who's the best player Jame has had as an IGL? It's like Flit or Fame.
Maybe
and don't get wrong.
Yeah,
maybe Yakindar. Like, I love Fame. I think Fame is like unbelievable. But he's not, peak NiKo that Carrigan had, or Guardian, or he's not like peak Device. He's not coldzera is absolute best, although you can argue coldzera was only ever good under Fallen. So, whatever. He's not donk. Like, Jame has never had this. If you put Jame, and I was talked out before on another podcast of saying like you could take Shiro out of Spirit, put Jame in. I was told to tame it down and have him having his fallen rifling arc, but I'm actually convinced now that Jame AWPing over Shiro and IGLing Spirit, and you know what? Bring back zweih for Magix, or you know, I'm convinced that would be the best team in the world. I really am. And I think Jame, as you say, will be he is a top 10 IGL of all time. He won a major with outsiders.
Ickert.
He won a major with Kika on the team. Like, do you know how insane that is? Mm-hmm. He went to another major with a Vanguard. He went to a major final with a Vanguard. And he's won a major with outsiders. He won Blast Bounty with PARIVISION. Like, I don't think there is a better IGL of mediocre is an unfair term, but like average players. I think you can argue of elite players, maybe James' system would actually sort of not get the best out of them. But of players who are not quite elite, I'm not sure there is a better IGL, or maybe even sort of maybe not ever has been, because Carrigan can do it as well. And I actually think one of the things Alexi B is good at is elevating like average players. But like Jame has won trophies with players who are not should not be winning trophies. Like he just has. He's an unbelievable IGL, and he does it with such a unique style as well, which and that doesn't actually give him any extra points, but it feels like it should, because it's like nobody else plays like he does.
I'm fully with you, by the way, on the idea that Jame, especially in the CIS scene, is by far the smartest IGL.
Oh, it's
like,
not even close.
You're comparing him to like Boomich. Like, where is Nafany these days? You know, like he was touted as like an up and comer. He's nowhere now. But I think the issue for me is when you're talking about Jame, this is always a problem with AWP IGLs. He's essentially two players. He's Jame the AWPer. He's Jame the IGL. I think Jame the IGL is probably one of the best minds to touch Counter-Strike. I think Jame the AWPer is a decent AWPer, but he's never gone beyond that. And I think that's always going to hinder him.
I think
which is why I push back a little bit on the Shiro replacement. Shiro, for my money, is such a better AWPer than Jame is mechanically, that I would rather just put Jame on a rifle, let him call his magic, and just see what happens.
But does his magic work without him on the AWP? His style is so based around himself.
Yeah, well, at the same time, Jame was the one to say, I think it was just a few months ago, that he would be willing to transition, as Fallon did, to the rifle, right? Do you guys think that would be like the next big thing? Do you guys, well, not right now necessarily, because he's doing quite good, but do you think if he had like a different team or things were different, him on the rifle would be the next big step in his career?
I think it could be, but I'm not sure I want it to be.
If I'm Donk and I've just been slapped around by my old teammate that was the worst player on our team, and he's just been given to this IGL who made him godlike in the series against us, I would want him on my team. I would want to see what it's like to be under a real IGL, you know? So, look, Magic's great vibes. Zontic's, whatever. I don't know, man. I feel like eventually, no matter how great a friend Magic's is to be on the server, Donk's going to want a piece of Jame.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, also, that's one thing, that's actually the next thing on the script. But do you guys think that now Spirit is looking at zweih and being like, damn, maybe we should have kept that kid? Or, like, do you think that's something that actually is going on, or is just a one-time thing?
I don't think Spirit are looking at him and thinking they made a mistake. I think they might, as you said, be looking at Jame and thinking, that was the error we made. Like, it wasn't the pieces, it was it wasn't the chassis, it was the driver. It was to answer an earlier question, slightly off topic, Nafany is on TDK with Zorti and Axile, which is kind of would have been a really good team in like 2021.
Yeah, sure. During the online era, that would have been great. But
the other two players are Sugar and Xanta, and Groover's their coach. So, Yeah, no, I don't think Spirit are looking at zweih as like we should, well, maybe they should have kept him, but they should have got Jame to use him. But the thing with Spirit is that they don't want a quote unquote proper IGL because Halley is their IGL.
Well, but
They want
also like at the same time, if we look at the like better, most important teams in the world right now, this is actually the only one team that has that kind of system, right? Because Halley is legitimately the IGL for Spirit. And if you look at like FURIA, we have Fallen. If you look at FaZe, we have Kerrigan. If you look at like other big teams, they all have their like star IGL, let's say, right? And then Spirit is just different. I don't know if that's something that they're willing to change, because if they haven't until now, why would they?
I don't know if it's unique.
Go on.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's unique. Like, because you can see this elsewhere as well. Like, NAVI have Blade and Alexi B, and you know they butt heads all the time. I'm sure. Like, obviously, we can't possibly know what the relationship is like behind the server, but people are willing to give Blade a lot of credit, and previously they were willing to give Alexi B a lot of credit on his teams. So they've kind of had to meet in the middle somewhere. And like, there are a number of teams like this as well. Like Saw on G2 right now. He's been touted as an excellent talent scout. He is a very vocal coach, likes to have control over his team. Hunter's a new IGL. So like there are teams in the top 10, top 15 that have a stronger coach than IGL kind of dynamic going on.
I suspect Cyclone at Mouse as well.
Yeah, I mean Broland's not going to have that much of a voice as an IGL, right?
I wouldn't imagine so. He doesn't seem like the type to be very assertive. I don't have any inside information on them. You might know a bit better, Sam, but for me, Broland doesn't seem like a particularly assertive caller.
Yeah, I mean, that's of course just kind of my dumb opinion of looking from the outside. But I don't know, like, Alexi B is known for being a good IGL, let's say. And right, of course, he has one of the best coaches, maybe top 10 in history, top 5 in history, arguably.
It's really hard to know with coaches, yeah.
Well, yeah, but like from what we know from like testimonials from the players and stuff, I don't know. I think that, you know, Spirit, we talked about this in the last episode. Like, Spirit is kind of in a moment where they need a win. They need to win a trophy. They need to at least get to a final and fight for it. And if nothing changes soon, I think we might start getting to a point of like pointing fingers and saying like, okay, this is the moment, right?
Yeah, I think that there are people who've been pointing fingers at Spirit for 6 months, 12 months. Like, I think anyone who was displeased with Chopper as the IGL, which I'd like to go record, is not me. But if anyone was, I don't think they're going to be overjoyed by the idea of Magix as the IGL. This is like when people wanted Chopper not to IGL, they didn't want Magix to do it instead. Like that's not what people were asking for. So,
like, I'll be honest, I was a massive Chopper doubter. I am one of them.
Disappointing. You rate BC.Game, right. So you know. It's...
True, yeah. But you're right. Like, I didn't necessarily see Magix, and I wasn't overjoyed with it. I was thinking it's like a sideways move, right? It's kind of like a step in a direction. I don't know if it's a good one or a bad one. It's kind of impossible to tell, right? I think to go back to your earlier question, because I never properly answered it, I don't think they're looking at zweih and thinking, we lost such a talented player that, you know, we should have kept on our team. Because I think what's interesting is zweih has kept almost all of his roles from Spirit. He's playing in almost identical roles, and they're not necessarily like star roles. He doesn't have that much freedom in this team. So what that tells me is that it's more about the system and the atmosphere in the team that's made zweih able to perform like this. Like, clearly he has it in him, and whatever it is he has in him was sucked out of him in Spirit, because he just didn't look like the same player. And now that he's back in PARIVISION, again, same roles, same positions on the map, he's still a very supportive piece. He's top fragging half their games. So what does that say about the mood and the system he's playing in?
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. He was not even misused by Spirit, just sort of thrown to the wolves a little bit, which is going to happen with the way they play the game. Like, the sort of idea of like, oh, don't go kill is a bit of a meme, but also that kind of is, it is actually fair with them. Like that, their entire system is just to set up donk. Like there is no real plan outside of that. Like as far as I can see, they are super like fast with that. Like they rarely throw like these super tactical rounds in, because they just want to give space to the best player in the world. That's all they want to do. And to be honest, I don't hate that idea as much as everyone else does. Partially because I think that it's a pretty good style. If donk's pretty consistently world class, so like it is in theory the really up and down. But donk he's actually just a 1.5 player like every game, so it doesn't really matter. But also, I think he would probably he seems like the type who would get really annoyed if he wasn't played for. Like, I do think he would get really annoyed playing for Jame. I think he would kind of hate to be sort of used like Flit or Fame. Even though he would probably win more, or Yakinda. That would be a shame. Like, it would be a shame to see donk, like, used as Yakinda. Even though Yakinda was pretty good, but, like, you know.
Yeah, there was also this interesting stat that Blast put on the stream during one of the games, that Ancient was donk's worst rated map in 2025 at 1.34 rating. He was still the second best rated in the world at the map. So like that says a lot about the guy.
He is the best player to ever play the game. He just quite simply is. And it will be a tragedy if he doesn't win absolutely everything in his career. Like he's absolutely ridiculous. He's just the best player though. Put him on PARIVISION. Honest to God, put him on PARIVISION. I'm not even joking. They would win everything.
Well, so one other thing. Do you guys think that kyousuke being on the team and not having the visa issue that limited him from being in Malta, do you guys think that if he was there, the results would be different?
Yeah. They would have liked.
I think,
honest to God,
unbelievably yes, right? And actually, it's something I want to save a little bit for when we have the graph later, because I have the stats to prove it. I have something I want to show you that I think you'll be interested in.
Yeah. By the way, for those listening, in just a bit we'll have like a whole section where Sam will go super in depth about like stats and stuff. So if you're listening on Spotify, maybe turn the video on just for that specific part, and if you're listening on YouTube, then just look at the screen for a bit. In just a bit though.
You know,
but like
call a timeout on one.
Yeah, right. But like, I don't know, I mean, of course, as I said before, like we can't really blame Nucleons, because he's just like the academy player who just got thrown into the eye of the storm, right? But at the same time, like NiKo and Monizy played really well, like really, really well. But there wasn't that like oomph, right? There was not that amazing play, or that feeling that they, oh my God, these are the best players in the world. That kind of what we expect from people at Falcons, in my opinion, right? Is the most expensive team ever to exist. So I don't know, like Falcons is a big like question mark for me, because in my opinion they should be, of course, winning everything, and they're just consistently not. And I mean, they're cursed, dude, because something always happens that they can reach that trophy, and I don't know, like
they would have beaten PARIVISION with their full lineup. The games were so close, and Nucleons was kind of a non-factor. Not his fault. But would they have beaten Vitality? I'm not actually sure, because Nucleons actually just had a crazy, like, he actually just had a life map, like, out of nowhere. That must feel incredible for him. Like, that would be, like, he could like go on to do nothing in the rest of his career, and he could always look back at that and be pretty happy. So I'm not sure they would have got to the final, weirdly, but if they had, they would have won that final, probably 3-1. The two maps were 13-11, and Nucleons was like really quite poor on both. You put NiKo back into where Nucleons was, and you have kyousuke. Yeah, they win this.
I mean, I think the unfortunate joke if you're Falcons is the only tournaments they could win were like the tier 2, like Bucharest and Blast events, and now PARIVISION's even robbing them of those, right? Like even those aren't a gimme anymore. Yeah. So it's got to sting a little bit if you're Falcons and you can't even win this one, especially for reasons that aren't your fault, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, right. I mean, and the only next thing in the script before we transition to the next segment is that I told you guys. I told you that PARIVISION.
This was the only thing that ruined PARIVISION's win for me, is knowing that you would do this.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't want to be that guy, but I told you so, and I just want to be on record saying that. Listen, maybe next time, just listen to me because I saw this happening a mile away.
I can't believe PARIVISION won, man. That's just, it's not normal.
Before we go straight into the graphs, please explain what you are and how did you come to these stats, just really briefly so people can understand what's going on.
Well, I am. Okay. Yeah, that's a very deep question. Yeah, so the stat that we're interested in here with these graphs is something called dual swing, and you won't have seen it before because it's something that I've been tweaking privately for like a couple of months now. And for those who kind of don't know, I'm in the same camp as like Nero and B-Trams and these guys in that I have my own like statistical software that I've written for analyzing Counter-Strike demos. And I like coming up with new stuff, you know, some new angles that we can say bad players are bad without just defaulting to rating and KPR as we always do. And I mentioned dual swing. These graphs involve a concept known as dual swing, which is whenever you see a gunfight in a Counter-Strike game, say you've got an AWPer staring down banana, and T-ramp, there's a P250, you know, it's NiKo around trying to peek him, you're probably going to give that AWPer about a 90-95% chance of killing the P250, right? But on the off chance the P250 does win, he's pulled off a pretty big dual upset, so we would give that 95% to the P250 wielder, and we would take the 95% away from the AWPer, because he's whiffed one that he should have won, and the P250's hit a banger, right? That's generally how this works. And if we take every gunfight in a game, we can aggregate dual swing for each player across an entire map, which kind of tells you their firepower, right? It's like a pure way of looking at, was this player winning more fights than they should? Were they winning about the right amount of fights? Or were they kind of having a bit of a whiff here and there and letting the team down?
It also sort of shows you what sort of fights they were taking. To get like an insane dual swing, you have to be taking some really horrible fights and winning them. Like Diha was a beast at that.
Yeah, it's kind of eco-adjusted built in, right? Because if you're a player like a Magix used to be, a good example I like to give is the Dust 2 map of the Shanghai final against FaZe. He is not necessarily being fed resources, right? He's not being dropped AKs every round. On the CT side, he's fighting along with an MP9. So when that guy pops off, he's doing it against AKs with a lesser gun, so he's getting even more of a boost. Whereas, you know, maybe if Donk does those exact same fights, gets the exact same kills, maybe it's a bit more even, so he's not getting as much of a boost.
Yeah.
Right. So, the first graph we have is for PARIVISION, so just Sam, take the lead.
Yeah, so PARIVISION is the best place to start, because they are the tournament winners. And also I think they're probably the most balanced team from this tournament. And what I really like about this graph is you can see just how well and PARIVISION's roles are distributed. Like, obviously you've got Jame is the AWPer, he plays a bit more conservatively, he's a numbers guy, he knows the good duels to take, and, you know, his dual swing isn't crazy here, it's not like it's super top heavy or anything, he's just getting the numbers he needs to. And you look at the different roles across the board, and it's like, the Star Rifler, Nota, that, for people that don't know, is like your connector on Mirage type of player, like the classic rifle star roles. He's second in line. And then zweih, obviously, from like anchor lurker spots, was kind of overperforming a little bit here. And then Jello or Zelo, I don't actually know how you pronounce it.
I always say XIELO, but I assume it's like an Xbox gamer tag is how I always think of it.
Yeah, I could imagine it actually with the logo as well.
Yeah, exactly right.
He's sort of like your second star player, so you know if Nota's con on Mirage, Zelo is short on Mirage, right? And you can kind of see it's really well balanced across the board, with only Belchinot going negative, and he's a very supportive piece, especially with this zweih edition. He's doing all the dirty work.
I do remember when I wrote the PARIVISION preview for the major. Belchinok was like massively overperforming for his roles against like poor opposition, and you noted that you didn't think he'd be able to step up.
He was smurfing against tier 2.
He was
crazy numbers. Yeah, he was
like
the second top fragger.
He was at like a 1.25 or something from like anchor rolls.
He's doing it from like B monster on overpass. It's crazy. Yeah,
and he's actually had games. I think there was a specific game of Blast Bands, I can't remember which one it was, where he had like a performance like that, and I was like, oh, you know, maybe he's making in like football analytics they call it the leap, where like you have a player who's promising and then at like 23 they hit the leap and you just see their numbers explode, and I was like, oh, maybe he's having the leap, like maybe he's figured it out. And it's like, you look at this, it's like, that's actually not bad. Like if your worst player is sort of occasionally losing duels that he shouldn't, but otherwise is pretty solid, like if that's your flaw, you're probably quite happy. Like that's.
Yeah, it's right. So yeah, I mean, the thing with this graph is that this just shows a really good team overall. Like, what's that number for Belchinok? It's like maybe -20 or -30. Like, it's really not even that. If it's really good. Like, this shows how balanced this team is. And it's actually just really fucking good. I mean, there's not much to say here.
And this is the average for context of all of the LAN portion of Blast Bounty, because that's the bit we really care about here. Like, the online bit for me, sure it mattered, they had to get here, but I'm much more interested in what these teams are doing at LAN. And what PARIVISION have shown here is that even at LAN, even in semi-finals, quarterfinals, grand finals, they're able to keep their shape, they're able to keep their structure, they still play their game no matter who the opposition is. And clearly they can win doing it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just an amazing... I mean, being really dumb with my explanation, it just visually explains how good the team is, and it's actually really good. So, I think this is... the graph you wanted to talk the most about. Yep. in all of what we are looking at. So just go forward.
Well, we spoke about a balanced team, and now for arguably the least balanced team. And it should be noted that Liquid did have a pretty small sample size because they got eliminated like straight away in the quarterfinals. But there's a pretty obvious reason why they got eliminated straight away in the quarterfinals. And what's interesting to me is that the AWPers generally tend to have the highest average positive dual swing. So Ultimate hitting, what, negative 420 or whatever here, just shows how much of an anchor he was in terms of firepower. Like, just to contextualize this, we spoke about, you know, the analogy of the AWPer holding banana and losing the fight to the P250. Minus 400 is basically like doing that 4 or 5 times every map. So that's how poor Ultimate's performance here was. Him and Brokey, the two lowest in this tournament, and it's just so painful to watch. Like, anybody who watched these games, you know that this kind of is the shape Liquid was showing.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, like, look at that orange thing. It's just so, like, not where we were expecting. Like, if we watch the next few graphs, you guys are going to be able to see what I'm talking about. But, like, this is just unusually bad. So what do you think this is, like a sign of time? Do you think it's just like the Liquid curse? What do you think is going on here?
I think Ultimate's had long enough now, for my money. Like, it's been, what, over 6 months now that Ultimate's been in this team? Longer? I'm not sure. You can double check that. And I don't think we've seen any real improvements from him, if I'm being honest. Like, especially early on, he was showing promise. He was an unpredictable AWPer. He was a bit more aggressive. He was able to do some entry work on the rifle. Nowadays, now that teams have figured that out and it's a bit more gimmicky, he's such a poor performer.
He's in Liquid from July 2024. So more than a year, actually.
Over
a year and
a
a
year.
half.
Year and a half.
Yeah.
And he's putting up numbers like these. I mean, I think it speaks to how desolate the AWP market is right now in CS, that Brokey and Ultimate are still on these teams. Because if you can put up numbers like this and there's not some obvious replacement for you, it just shows that, you know, elite AWPers are few and far between. But the main question it raises in my mind is, like, where is degster in all this? He's been sat on a bench in free agency, whatever, for the past however long. And at this point, like, I don't care how toxic degster is. I'd rather see him having a shouting match mid-game with Elige and then win some matches, instead of Ultimate being such a scoreboard anchor that, you know, the whole Liquid ship is dragged underwater.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you get degster to Liquid, at some point, Elige will just, like, get up and punch degster mid-match or something like that. But like, at the same time, I get what you're saying. Like, it's at some point, it's just weird for Liquid to keep like betting on this player, right? And I mean, I have nothing against Ultimate in any way, but this is not the first time it just happens too. So I don't know. Like, Liquid is in a bit of a situation, but at the same time, like, I don't know. Do you got anything to say about NAF?
About NAF? I think NAF is kind of doing about what he should be for his roles. Like, he's not especially great. He definitely showed, like, a small uptick towards maybe the end of last year, but now he's sort of regressed to the mean for what you'd expect for, like, a solo site anchor / kind of lurker in his roles. I don't think he is the problem on Liquid, if I had to point out anyone in particular. Again, I think there's a massive glaring orange problem on Liquid based on this graph that would just make so much more of a difference than discussing, like, an IGL change or a rifler change.
Senzu order
Yeah.
for the team? What do we think? Yes or no?
You're
considering it.
Liquid Senzu thing.
You're considering it, though. It's
Look,
just
for
a lot.
Liquid, it's an upgrade, because anything is I think, like, give me a 3-pack of Monster and I'd do better than Ultimate in half of these games. Look, I don't know. That's a joke, obviously, but
I think it's more Adderall in that part of the world.
I won't speak to that personally, yeah, but it's an upgrade for Liquid. It's just such a waste of Senzu, so I don't like it.
No, I was sort of joking. I just sort of have this vision that Senzu to Liquid is just going to happen, and I can't really explain why. So again, this was another team for, like, months. I said should sign Jame. I think he, like, before they signed Sui, I was like, Jame solves so many of this team's problems. Like, they needed an AWPer and an IGL, and they went with Cadian. I'm like, fine, but, like, you could have got Jame. I mean, maybe they couldn't. Maybe Jame can't call in English, but you just teach NAF like Russian or something. It's fine. Like they need a better AWPer. I mean, everyone needs a better AWPer, but, like, theirs shouldn't be too hard to find. Like, Grix was on the market. Degster doesn't have a team. Like, I know you're a big believer in Degster. I think he has issues outside of the server, but, like, so does Elige, and you've signed him. So, like,
look, if Elige could work with Simple well enough to get to the playoffs of a major, I'm sure Elige could put aside his ego enough to play with Degster and actually make it to these playoffs instead of.
Simple was on the market. You could get Simple. You could have got Simple,
yeah.
Like,
yeah, right.
There's so many options. Like, you went with Ultimate. You took that gamble. You liked what you saw. It hasn't worked. You've just got to cut your losses. Like, there are better AWPers out there. I don't know who they can convince, but, like, I'm just sort of looking through now, trying to. Like, I was like, could you get Wrinkle from NIP? He'd be a big upgrade. I like Wrinkle. I think he's a good player.
Yeah, I mean, there's a myriad of like Ukrainian and Russian, like 16-year-old 3.5k elo face it AWPers. Like, try any one of them at this point.
I mean, they could have got, like, again, he's not the most inspiring, but they could have got FaZe. He would have been better. He's better than Ultimate. I'm not saying he's a world beater, but he's better than Ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, I was just saying, like, at some point you gotta start like scratching your head and thinking, like, is this the right way, or maybe we should go another? And I think it's quite the time for Liquid to do like question themselves and be like, okay, something does need to change. But anyway, enough about Liquid. We got this big orange thing in the screen for long enough. So
that is really quite bad. That is really bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Falcons. What do you gotta say about Falcons?
This is
about
what you
Falcons.
expect.
Yeah, I mean, what I see is a really unfortunate waste of potential, because that big blue negative bar is supposed to be kyousuke, and normally kyousuke is, you know, right up there with Monasi and NiKo, and I think he probably would have done the same here, and I think they probably would have won this tournament if we're being realistic. Not to say that you can really blame Nucleons that much, because as we said, like, he's an academy player that was pulled up for filling a seat, right? They needed someone last minute.
And he's still miles better than Ultimate.
And he's still miles better than Ultimate. This will be a recurring theme, by the way. We're going to go through a number of stand-ins, substitutes, whatever, that are still better than Ultimate in this tournament as we go through these graphs. So just keep that in mind. That can be like a fun play-at-home game.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I mean, the thesis had a bit of a okay/bad tournament, but I don't think that was the issue too.
I'm actually surprised Tessus is that low in this one. I mean, I think I missed a couple of the Falcons games, but like Tessus generally, I've always thought is like a mechanical demon. Like, he's insane mechanically, so I kind of expected that he would at least be sort of near the zero, even though he's in like unfamiliar, unfavorable roles. Like, I kind of thought he'd be good at them, but he's actually kind of not a problem, but he is losing fights that feels like he would have won on previous teams. I like Tessus. I don't like him on this team. It's pretty clear Falcons also don't massively like him on this team. I think it'd be good for everyone if he just went to somewhere better. I mean, honestly, he would immediately improve Liquid. We were just talking about, even if he didn't AWP, like, you could run 5 rifles. He could replace somebody else. Like, I'm really high on Tessus. I think he improves so many teams. And this is just a weird fit for him. Like, it's just, he's on like the one team that I don't think he really suits at all.
I would quite like to see Tessus reunite with some of his old heroic buddies, like whether it's Shush, whether it's Yabi on Astralis.
NIP, I like NIP.
NIP or Astralis. This is the kind of team that he would improve so much, and I do agree with you that he's kind of wasted in these roles, which you can kind of see because you mentioned that he looks like a lot more negative than maybe you remember. I think that's because in the grand final he was actually alright, and in the quarterfinal he was actually alright, but then against Vitality, 3 maps in a row, he got absolutely wasted.
Okay,
map after map.
I think I missed a decent portion of that game, so that makes a lot of sense.
In a good game, he's a 1.3 rated player. In a bad game, he's a 0.6 rated player. And it's just like, flip a coin which one he is. And that's the life of an anchor lurker player, right? Either you get the play or you don't.
Tessus on Heroic, I always thought, like, when he was on his game, he was genuinely one of the hardest players in the world to play against, because he would just have these complete takeover maps where he would, like, I don't think I've ever seen a player hit like 17-5 more often than he did on that Heroic team. Like, he would just have these insane maps where he was just like a turret. He was so good at times, and like, you watch him on this Falcons team and it's just not the same player. It's really quite sad. As you say, he was actually very good in the grand final, so, you know.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with you guys. I think this is a bit of a... It's a head scratcher for me. I think he should be playing a bit better, but at the same time, like, I don't know if that was really the problem for this specific tournament, at least. So, yeah, that's kind of my take on this. It's not really that much, but anyway. Next big graph as of Sim's requests. This is the grand final and a comparison of each of the roles. Sam?
Yeah, so what I've done here is I've combined the 3 maps to, and I've just added all of the dual swing together to make it as if it's like one big long map.
Oh, okay.
So you can. That's why they look a bit larger.
I'm gonna say.
Yeah, it's like combined together, but you can kind of see it, as we mentioned earlier, like Nucleons did alright this tournament, and then he got to the grand final, and there's a massive kyousuke shaped hole in his play. I've compared them, like, I've grouped the equivalent role players together here. So you've got Jame, Monacy, Nota, NiKo, zweih, Tesses, Belchinok, Kixan. And you can kind of see that Falcons are just getting diffed, like, across the board, pretty much. With the exception of Belchinok, who maybe underperformed a little bit. Like, every player in PARIVISION was just doing better in their roles. And in the case of Nucleons, like, he is the reason they lost the final, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, he was, but also, like, NiKo is your star rifler, and he's, like, you know, I know this is dual swing, so, but, like, there are 4 players on PARIVISION with a higher dual swing than him. Like, and he's the highest rated, I mean, so it's hard to pick on it. And also, like, Monacy getting, like, quite cleanly diffed by Jame. and the thing is as well, all of these maps were quite close. It's not like this looks like a blowout, but it was not a blowout. It was 2 13-11s and a 13-8, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it looks like PARIVISION were just taking worse fights and winning them, which is like not what you like. You would think the strength of Falcons would be their ability to win these duels, especially somebody like Monacy.
We mentioned earlier as well the MVP discussion, or a player of the tournament discussion, if you're that way inclined. I think there are 3 players you can really make a case for here, right? You can either say NiKo, as was the actual MVP. You can say Jame, or if you just care about the grand final, like, look at this performance from Nota in terms of firepower. Like, he is worth his weight in gold. He did so well this grand final. Granted, he's doing it from star rifler positions, but like NiKo, who was the actual MVP, is right next to him, and look at the difference in terms of firepower in this final.
Yeah. And like, it was not even like it's just this stat either. Like, this stat does match up to his ratings and his KD and stuff. Like, it's not. That's one thing I always think with these stats is, like, are the best players showing up well on it? And if they are, then okay, there's something here. Like, there's an old thing in football. Like, if you make a stat and Messi isn't in the top right of your graph, throw it away. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything because Messi's always in the top right. And it's I feel the same about this. Like, if like you have this dual swing thing and somebody like Donk isn't performing well on it, it's pointless. But like Nota, you can watch that final, and you look at the stat and you're like, okay, yeah, like that makes sense. Like, that does make sense of what I saw. And like, I watched Monacy and you're like, yeah, no, yeah, he should have had a lot more kills than he had. So I feel good about this stat. I feel like it makes a lot of sense to me. It feels intuitive.
It shows a lot, and it's like, for the people who are not good with numbers, as I am not, this does help a lot to illustrate what actually went on. Right, so next graph is the Star Riflers comparison.
Yeah, we can speed run through some of the roles here, but these graphs are just good to show what the kind of target is. So target is just last 6 months on average for players in this type of role, like where kind of are they? For Star Riflers here, like Rez had an incredible quarterfinal actually. It's a shame that Gamer Legion went out in the fashion they did, because he did play really well. Just unfortunately his team wasn't there to back him. And so, you know, really small sample size, but if we're going to criticize Ultimate for his minus 400, we've got to give Rez his flowers for his plus 400.
Yeah.
And then after that, you know, you're looking at NiKo, you're looking at Nota, you're looking at your Kindar. These are players that, you know, you look in these Star Rifle roles and think they did really well this tournament.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Donk and Flames, where were they, right? Like, this is a massive underperformance from them, which is probably why Spirit and Vitality didn't make it to the grand final.
Yeah, I mean, especially donk, right? Like, as we said before, I made a big point of saying like, oh yeah, he's always brilliant. Well, he kind of wasn't here, but again, like it is a small sample, so you sort of, you know, let him off. It's one game, ish.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, when you sent me this graph earlier or yesterday actually, I thought Yakinder would be much higher because I had thought he had done pretty well, but anyway.
I mean, it's pretty good to be fair. Like,
yeah, it's not good.
Far off Nota, who was probably the best player in the grand final. So
yeah,
not even probably.
Right.
He definitely was the best player in the grand final. Probably about it.
Right. So, same thing, but for AWPers, of course, you got the big yellow thing again on the screen, but I mean,
yeah. I'd like to bring your attention back to the mini game I mentioned earlier of spot the stand-in that's still better than ultimate. So Youngster, second worst AWPer in the tournament, is not an AWPer. He was a last-minute stand-in for Heroic that had to pick up the AWP because of visa issues, I believe, for was it Alcaraz?
Alcaraz.
Alcaraz.
Is he an AWPer?
Yeah, I believe so.
I haven't watched Heroic in a long time.
But either way, like, it should not have been Youngster. He just had to, as essentially a last-minute option, and he still did 4 times better than Ultimate as an AWPer in the playoff. In the LAN portion of this tournament.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't look good.
I would like to draw your attention to the fact that you told me that Shiro was clearly better mechanically than Jame, and then look at his dual swing and wow. I know
it helps when you win the tournament.
I know it's a small sample. I know Jame won the tournament, but I'm taking it as a win. Hypex at third is also remarkable because that guy under the last season was pretty
horrible
shit. Yeah,
he was actually pretty bad this tournament. He just seemed able to maybe do a bit more than you expected alongside Rez.
Yeah, I wonder
in
if it's
that quarter match.
I wonder if this suggests as well that there's a bit of a positioning problem with him. Because as we said before, like if your dual swing is high, it either means you're winning a lot of duels or you're winning really difficult duels. And as an AWPer, you shouldn't be taking really difficult duels very often.
Yeah, that is very true, actually. The flashier AWPers that go for fights that maybe aren't safe, but are more like, just YOLO plays or whatever, you're going to get rewarded a lot more when it works. And in a sample size of 2, I think that's what we're looking at here.
That would be my assumption, because, like, Jame obviously scores high, but he's just going to take a lot of safe duels, and he's just going to very slowly climb up, because he's just going to take a lot of, like, plus 10s. Like, he takes 90-10 duels and he hits them 98% of the time. That's what Jame does. Shiro's very similar, so he's always going to like gradually climb, but then when Molodoi has a good game, he's going to have like plus 500 because the guy just re-peaks into everything.
Yep.
Also, that's one thing that happened was that Molodoi after the games was like, so there's this personal problem going on with my life and I'm doing all I can to go over it. And I was like, fuck, this guy is the rookie of the year. He performed really well last year, but then in the major he kind of faltered, and now he's kind of not doing great again.
He was pretty good in this tournament for my money.
Yeah, but
the main reason
it's just,
they were even here.
Remember that peaks and valleys thing we spoke about in the last episode?
Yeah.
Like Molodoi, when he has a good game, he's just like probably the best AWPer on the planet. Last year he won like duels against every AWPer in the world. Final, like, and that's pretty remarkable. But at the same time, when he doesn't show up, then FURIA just don't have the firepower. They just lose.
It's a style thing with him. It's the way he plays.
Yeah.
He's gonna have these off games because he's so like he re-peaks more than any other AWPer in, like any other good AWPer in the world. He's the only like AWPer who gets away with some of the peaks he does. Like he's also
just fed the AWP way more. Like he's an AWPer that actually uses the AWP. Like he's not one of these hybrids that's rifling half the time. He's just a pure AWPer.
I love that Fallen has like stopped AWPing and he's gone, but I love the AWP, so we're just gonna have it all the time. It's just not going to me. Like he Fallen is not AWPing, and he's the only IGL Actually, other than Jame, probably, who prioritizes the AWP. Like, Vitality absolutely don't. Spirit don't really. They just, as long as Donk has a rifle, they don't really care. Sure, does plenty of rifling. Monacy does plenty of rifling. Like, it's like Molodoy and Jame always have the AWP, and everyone else kind of just like happy to run a rifle. Even like Liquid,
Right.
like.
So, fast forwarding a bit because we're a bit
Yeah, we're
like we're tight on time.
Yeah, the rest of these are pretty boring anyway, to be fair. Krisen, decent fragging IGL, decent performance here. He did fine. All the others, meh.
And then the second star riflers, you got this.
Yeah, so there are some names here that are very notably bad. This was not a good tournament for second star riflers. Like, Serato, that was pretty bad from him. Rops, very mid from him. PR, again, should normally just way better than this. But the one that sticks out the most to me is actually Zontix. And you might be looking at Zontix and thinking, why is he here? He's definitely like an anchor, or like a supportive element at the very least. But if you actually look at the positions he's playing on Spirit right now, he's playing like B short on Mirage. He is playing like classic second star rifle roles on some of these maps. He's still anchoring from time to time, but like, he's basically splitting the anchor roles between him and Tanir, and he's getting more of the rotator roles than Tanir is. It's a big question mark to me. I don't really get it.
Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, like Spirit do these just weird things. Like their roles are always just really strange. I find like they just do things that don't make sense. And I used to think it was because of Donk, but this is nothing to do with Donk. So.
Yeah, right. And speaking of the devil, there you get Tanir and Yuri. So like
Yuri had
when
a
I watched
meh
the
this tournament.
When I watched the FURIA games, I didn't notice how bad this was until you sent me.
He did have a stinker, yeah.
And holy shit, it's a bit of like very bad tournament. It's a -200, right? And it's really not good.
And this is not a good role to play in CS2. That's why the line is pretty low. So earlier when I said Nafly was like just fine for this role, this is exactly what I mean. Like, he's not great, it's where he should be.
Mezzi being worse is very surprising because I remember you showed me his stats after the final of the major and they were just like bonkers. Absolutely insane.
Yep. Plus 500 on Inferno against FaZe.
500, which is just ridiculous. And you look at him now, it's like, yeah. But like,
this was just an off tournament, wasn't it, for all the big teams? All of the players went missing.
Except Tanir, apparently.
Except Tanir. And zweih.
Yeah.
Right, but
PARIVISION are a big team now, are they?
Do you guys think this will change though? Well, we got like we already have the data, so without further ado, let's go through with buy and sell just to stress test them a bit.
Yeah, I haven't looked at these questions this week, so
me neither.
This is my honest response.
So, as we know, buy and sell, real quick. I'll read the statement. You guys tell me your opinions, and let's try to keep it shorter. Not really short, but not as long as last week, because we're kind of low on time. So let's go. Number one, Jame will win a major again.
Buy, because I think he'll be on Spirit at some point.
Buy, because you said again and didn't specify a time, so he's going to win one eventually, surely.
Precisely.
Law of averages.
Yeah, I don't think... well, I don't know. To be honest, PARIVISION winning, I did say that this might happen, but it, of course, was a surprise for me too. I don't think that this team have what it takes to actually get a major. Also, if they were at the point or at the on the brink of actually winning a major, the other big teams would study them a lot. So that might also be different, because as Fallen himself said, that they play a different CS. They play in a way that not like other big teams don't really play. So yeah, I think Jame can win a major again. I don't know if right now, but at some point, that's a buy for me.
Yeah.
Right. So PARIVISION can sustain a top 5 status through the first half of 2026.
Sell.
Yeah, it pains me to say this, but it is a pretty obvious sell.
Why though? They just won a tier 1 event.
Forget staying top 5. I don't think they'll make another playoffs or even probably come close
I
of
think
any major event.
they might make a playoffs. Like I think they sort of. I'm thinking of them as like maybe this season's Aurora, Returnal Fire.
They might win a PGL, sure.
Or like they'll make some quarterfinals and then lose. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But like, the big boys are not going to stand for this for very long. And like, Jame couldn't sustain top 5 with Virtus Pro. I don't think he's going to do it with what is, I would say, probably a weaker team. I don't think that's particularly controversial. Maybe Nota just like maybe he just made the leap and they actually are just like a top 10 team. But I think they're probably like, I don't know. I could see them being like 8th, but I can't see them being top 5.
Okay, yeah. It pains me to say, but I do agree with that.
Yeah.
I would like to see them on top, but I don't think it's really feasible for them to sustain this top 5 status that they do have right now. So,
Yeah.
Third statement. Falcons would have won if Blast Bounty if kyousuke played.
Bye.
I think we've seen exactly why, right? I mean, you can just go back
Yeah.
to that graph with Nucleons. Like,
The grand final was so close as well. Like,
yeah.
little difference.
Yeah, I mean, this is not really much to say here. I just, after what you guys said, it would just be stupid of me to say otherwise. I agree with you.
The argument would have to be that they would have lost to Vitality in the semi-final. Because they would have beaten PARIVISION with him in the team.
Yeah. Well, this already did not happen, so this is kind of a stupid question or a stupid statement, to be fair. But if in a hypothetical world, Liquid would need to replace Ultimate before IEM, do you guys agree?
Yeah.
As in, like, in order to do anything at the event, they
Yeah.
need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they
In
needed
order to be
replace
like
Ultimate.
competitive.
Bye.
I think they needed to replace him months ago, if not a year ago.
Yeah. Get Halls
Yeah, well.
back for a laugh.
Just get degster. Just please, Liquid. Just sign degster.
Yeah, I did put this next statement with like as kind of a joke and as a callback to the last episode, but zweih will outperform donk this year.
So.
Absolutely, so no chance.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see it, but I mean, donk is just the best player in the planet right now. So
Even if
I
we're
don't
being
think that
optimistic, he just doesn't have the roles for it. Like, if he was in Star Rifle roles, maybe there's like...
No, sorry, this is... No, I'm not even going to entertain that. No.
Yeah, but, you know, let's say there was like a 1% chance if he's in, like, Star Rifle roles. There's, like, beyond negligible if he's not.
right, I mean, okay. And the last statement for the week is BC.Game will get past, will make it past stage 1 in IEM Krakow.
Buy.
Sell.
I'm buying. Everything I said
Sorry,
is still
even if
true.
Even if you're
Utiris is a good IGL. Simple
he's
played
not
so
going
well.
to IGL for very long. Even if you're optimistic about BC.Game, this is way too early for them to be good.
Maybe, but we didn't say they would win the tournament. We said they would just get through stage 1, right? They can do that. Simple can 30 bomb like a couple matches back to back.
Have you looked at stage 1? There's like too many teams.
Look, I don't need to see the opponent. I see Simple, and I think of him carrying Zeus and Edward in the Astralis era to grand finals.
Yeah, but
Anyone in front of him, he can do it. He can roll it back, I believe.
that was 8 years ago.
And he's still dropping like 1.4s. I don't care who it's against. He can do it. He can do it.
Well, speaking of IEM, I do think we need to go to that part of the podcast because
We need
that's
to do it.
a really
quickly.
that's a really big important event of the year, and I think we got at least a few things to talk about. So let's do it. Right, so IEM Krakow starts on Wednesday. 2 stages. The first stage is 16 teams, double elimination, and then there is 8 of the 16 advance and get like the 1 through 8 VRS points teams. So in the first stage we got G2, Aurora, Liquid, 3D Max, Astralis, Ping, Passion UA, B8, PARIVISION, Legacy, Gamer Legion, Heroic, Foot, who actually did very good against FURIA, and that was kind of unexpected. NIP, NRG, and BC Games with Simple.
BC.Game are literally the second worst team here.
Over what? Astralis, Foot, really?
The only team they're better than is NRG.
NRG.
NRG are rubbish. Let's not fuck about. Like, okay, I could see an argument they're better than Gamer Legion because I just really don't rate Gamer Legion at the moment. Maybe like, no, they're not better than Passion UA. Let's not fuck about. Like, Electronic's so garbage now. Like, he's so bad, and there's no way Aragorn or Crazy are like legitimately good enough at this level either. You were literally just hoping Simple just
1v9s.
Yeah, no,
but that's his whole career. That's been his whole career, right? Other than like the Stockholm Major or something.
Well, what the fuck happened against Ursa though? They just lost the IEM Rio qualifiers to two teams that they shouldn't have, and now they're going into Krakow with, I don't even know, like how do you show up after losing to what? It was Ursa and who else?
Nemesis. I've just looked at.
Nemesis.
I would say Simple dropped 73 and 2-1 loss.
Yes, that's exactly where my hope comes from. Because,
but
look,
they still lost. They still lost.
Yes, here's the copium. If you're really a BC.Game believer, here is the cope you need.
So delusional.
The reason the rest of the team did so badly in that is because they're way more focused, preparing for Krakow, because it matters so much more. So if Simple can maintain that level, and you can see the rest of the team elevate themselves just a bit, they can beat an Astralis, they can beat a Foot, they can beat, they could probably beat a Passion UA. I could see it.
I could see them beating Passion UA, but that's just because Passion UA are just actual bottle jobs. They're not, like, look at like these teams they're losing to, and he also like was not particularly good against Ursa. He was fine. And he dropped 73 and they still lost against Nemesis. Like, he could drop 73 against like Foot and they would still lose because they did it to Nemesis. Like, and he's not going to drop 73 against these teams.
I will say I'm very disappointed with Crazy and Aragorn in particular. Like, I need
What
to
did
see
you
more
expect?
from them.
Yeah, what did you
I expected them to play
dude?
at the level of the Saw core that I've been seeing before. Like, when they were part of Saw, they weren't this bad. So surely, with a bit of prep time before Krakow, they can run it back.
Electronic is like a Dementor. It just sucks the soul out of everyone.
I'm not going to disagree with that, to be fair. I saw what happened at Cloud9.
It just makes everyone around him worse, except Simple.
I don't know.
BC.Game are awful. NRG are terrible. They won't get through. Heroic, I just don't believe in them. Legacy, I think Legacy are like low-key kind of interesting because they just had like this weird purple patch last year. It's like, are they actually any good? I'm not convinced.
Average Brazilian team though, right? Like, they randomly have an incredible tournament. You're like, wow, these players are sick, and then they like do nothing for the next 3 months.
But unlike most of the Brazilian teams, they didn't like actually bottle it in the big games. Like, Pain always just let you down. MIBR I absolutely hated because
I do want to see Pain though, because they do have these two
I'm
new
not
players.
falling for it again. I'm not falling for Pain again.
Listen.
I've fallen for it way too many times. I'm not falling for it again.
I am fully against like believing in these like magical stories that this new player will elevate the team, but I do believe in VSM. Like, I do believe that he's a very good player. And I just want to see him getting to like playoffs or something. I know it's hard and it's probably not gonna happen, but oh my god, I really do want to see VSM doing good. He has been so good in Brazil for so long, and it just really pains me to like, this is the first time that he actually gets a mid team, like not even a good team, because we can really say that Pain is a good team right now. But it's like actually like decent, maybe top 15. So like I believe a Pain that is better than most of the teams in stage 1.
Yeah.
They would just get obliterated by anyone in the top 8. But like, let's hope.
This is completely unrelated, but I've just noticed that LNZ is the IGL of MIBR.
Yeah.
Have we mentioned that
yeah.
before?
Yeah. That team's
Well, I
messed
do.
up.
I
don't even want to talk about them. They
look.
wind me up.
I just want to say something that is really like it's just so bad for Brazil. So this weekend, Circuit X did a tournament. Actually, LAN tournament in one of the biggest cities of Brazil is Curitiba, and it was just horrific. Why? Because they had teams there like on site, and they had to play IEM Rio qualifiers. So teams would just give like walkover to play the IEM Rios and just not play the Circuit X tournament. And it's just horrible for the tournament organizers to be in that position. And also, they did provide some PCs for these people to play their games of IEM Rio and not their tournament. And then the players were like, okay, but this is not good. These PCs are shit, and now we can play. And I was like, dude, fuck, this is so bad for Brazil. It just makes us look so pathetic in like international scene, and it's just so sad. But yeah, MIPR actually did quite well, and I liked what I saw. But at the same time, like it was against what Gaming Gladiators, I think it was the finals.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Like,
it's not really like super high competition.
look, Payne, VSM, Period Junior, good players. Or they're all good players. Like they're a good team. They just don't have cojones, and that will always be their problem. They just don't have the bollocks to actually win anything or win a big game. They always crumble when the pressure's on. And I used to be such a big believer in Payne, and they've just let me down too many times. I refuse to believe again.
Right, and what do you guys think will happen with FaZe and NAVI, who just bombed super hard in Blast, and now we're back in Krakow?
Are they in stage 2? I think
Stage 2, yes.
I mean, who knows? Like, if they somehow bumble into playoffs, they'll be fine. It's just like it's such a lazy narrative, but it's literally just true. Like, that's all you can talk about. They will just be dog shit in the group stage, and if they get on stage, they will be fine. It's just they just defy analysis.
Yeah, I mean, I have no expectations, right? We mentioned earlier, like, Ultimate and Brokey were the 2 worst players in terms of dual swing in the tournament that just passed. So, like, I don't think until you fix those issues, I just don't think they're going to do anything. Like, FaZe just don't give me any promise that they're going to improve outside of it's a major, so we'll pull out some bullshit and somehow make a grand final, right? Like, I haven't really seen that much improvement from Jacob. I've seen probably a decline in performance continually from Brokey. Like, what are we working with?
I love Brokey so much, man. He's just
right, and
such a bullshit player. I love him.
Well, in my last storyline, my actually 2 last storylines are, of course, PARIVISION is coming with like blood on their hands of just people they massacred in Malta. And Falcons is coming back with maybe redemption arc for kyousuke, who just let them down and now is coming back to win it all. I don't know. To be honest, I see PARIVISION not even qualifying to stage 2 somehow.
Yeah, they're the Hangover after the Lord
yeah.
show. Outsiders after they won the major just like totally like just turn up the next event in slippers. Like, they were not asked. And you get the feeling they might do the same. Although Jame, like, I don't know if you saw his interview where he was like, yeah, I don't really care about this. Or he's like winning land to land was better than this. I'm like, it's just actual psychopath. So maybe he doesn't care at all, and there's going to be the same team here.
And even if they do care, like, yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. They've got a big target on their back now. Like, teams saw them at the major. They were like, interesting. This is a quirky little upset team. And now they've seen them at that Blast Bounty event. They're like, maybe we've actually got to do some prep work here. Like, this is not a pushover team. It's another Jame team. It's another gatekeeper. We're going to have to learn to deal with them.
Yeah, but they're just going to be a ball ache to play against. And some teams will just lose because they won't be disciplined enough. Like, Jame will always be more patient than you.
Yeah. Well, so what do you guys think was going to happen? Like, who do you think's winning this event? If you had to say, like, right now, with a gun to your head, who is winning IEM?
BC.Game. No, I'm kidding.
No.
Probably Vitality, right? Like, I think everything that we said about Blast Bounty is just even more true for Krakow because it's just a real event. Whereas Blast Bounty, like, obviously it still matters, especially for the smaller teams that have the potential to finally play against, like, some of the teams in the top 10. It doesn't matter for those teams in the top 10 nearly as much. Like, maybe you can get some VRS ranking points. That matters a bit, I guess, but... like, realistically, as we mentioned before, all of those teams are just eyeing up the trophy of Krakow way more than the Blast Bounty one.
Falcons.
Any reasoning behind it or just Falcons?
Falcons.
I see. Yeah. Very, very illuminating from you. I would say...
Falcons.
Fuck. Last time I went with Vitality and they let me down. So now I'm going to go with my heart. I would say that FURIA is winning this event. They are preparing for it a lot. And I don't know if you guys saw what I sent the other day in Discord, but Fallen and Yakinda are like prepping a lot to this specific event. So yeah. I think that they might come out swinging in Krakow.
I hope so. I like FURIA.
Right, so that was kind of it. For a quick recap of what we did, it was, well, PARIVISION from 190th to 4th in the world in a year. So, okay. Jame just killing everyone and being a very, like, good and round IGL, and that's pretty interesting. Zweih just got his revenge, so that made me very happy, I must say. I was a very happy camper. Liquid's problem, that might be ultimate, that might be just a whole curse on the team, I don't really know. And, well, Falcons that could have won Blast. Anything you guys would like to say that I didn't mention?
I like that you said problem because, yeah, like, it's Liquid's one problem, and we all know it.
Right. So, yeah. So, this was it for this week's win condition. I hope everyone enjoyed it as much as I did. Please follow these guys on social media. Follow ray.gg in social media. All of the links will be in the description of this episode. And next week we will have, of course, the IEM stage 1 recap. We will have the Simple watch. What the fuck happened to Simple in this event? If it was good, if it was not, we are definitely going to follow up on that. We're going to have, of course, PARIVISION and some new rosters that will debut in the international scene that listen, Fang is going to debut, so that's what I want to talk about next week, and I do hope they get past this first stage because that would make me very happy. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this, or listening rather. This was Win Condition. Stay ready, stay informed, and I'll see you next week.